power to do all these horrible wars and, going after oil and stuff. It's also, more importantly, there's a ritualistic, symbolic aspect to it that I think people are too afraid to look into, but I think it's time that they do.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Symbolically, again, if we talk a little bit more about the Freedom Tower, could it be said that, if we take the two aspects of I guess if we go into Hegelian dialectics and a little bit of that into that area, do you think that this could kind of be symbolic, like that when the two becomes one, that the time of diversity in that sense is over, and this is actually the joining of all of these forces now into one?
Right. I mean, that again, yeah, that I think that's a very accurate way of looking at it. It does seem like, combining that with like the 2012 date, it seems to be, and the Olympics going back to the Queen, it seems like it's a possible, maybe a significant end date or a completion of some project, which we saw part of during the 9/11 tragedy. And I mean, I don't know, I think we have to keep our eyes open, because if we look at these symbols, we can decode what they're trying to tell us. If we start to read it like that, or maybe they don't want us to decode it. I sort of feel like they do, in a sense. I think it's, again, a mystical sort of thing that we're looking at, where the Illuminati or the secret society, people who are doing this, have become our, opposition, our enemy. And by sort of reading these symbols, we can, learn what they're doing and overcome and take charge of the situation. And it's almost like they're unconsciously inviting us to do it.
Yeah.
Like they've become the shadow side that we need to integrate. Because people, I feel there's the psychedelic community, like Terence McKenna and is it Jeremy Narby? No, not Jeremy Narby.
That's correct, Jeremy Narby.
Yeah, Jeremy Narby but I was thinking about somebody else. I just got confused for a second.
Okay.
I feel like the psychedelic community, like Terence McKenna, he would often say that conspiracy theory is sort of a waste of time and not a sensible activity. But I feel like it's an external way of dealing with your shadow side, by coming to terms with what these darker secret society symbols and rituals mean.
Yeah.
If we can decode these messages, it's because if there is no difference between the internal and the external world, then we can't just come to terms with our own dark side. We have to come to terms with our collective dark side. And if we look at events like 9/11, I feel it's pretty obvious that there is a big dark side out there. I mean, it's becoming very obvious to many people that it was an inside job, but it doesn't stop there. The picture is much bigger.
It is.
It's scarier.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that you brought up in your latest video that you got up on your site now goes into a little bit about the G8, and do you think that there is a connection between the G and the 8?
Yeah, well, the octagon shape again has the 8 sides, and then the G8 summit will, you'll have people like George Bush there and Tony Blair and these top, secret society initiate connected individuals, like at the summit, the peak of the pyramid, and the G is also the letter that you'll see inside the compass and the square.
Yeah.
And I think there's an obvious connection between the 8 sides of the octagon, the Freedom Tower, and the G8. I think the 8 is a very important occult symbol, and it's connected to, the Stargate. The octagon is becoming like a primary symbol for the Stargate.
Yeah, you mentioned in our previous segment in regards to Terence McKenna and Time Wave Zero that this year was going to be an important year or an eventful year, or however you want to put it. But in regards to the G8, did you know that it is the 33rd summit this year of that?
No, I did not know that.
Interesting. Yeah. So again, there's a lot of stuff going on there and decoding this stuff, and the picture that you had in your video in regards to the G8. What was this in 2002? The kind of logo for G8?
Yeah, the Canadian one had the pyramids. They were actually used the symbols of the three pyramids inside. The G and the 8 were inside the pyramids.
Yeah.
And making an obvious connection between the compass and the square also being two pyramids being imposed over each other, and the David star as well, being just another version of the compass and square, and the two pyramids over each other forming again, viewed from the top, an octagon or an 8-pointed star.
It's amazing, in regards to World Trade 7, we got to get into this, because I did not know at first when the recent footage was released about a month ago from the BBC. Prematurely, they reported on the destruction of World Trade Center Building 7 on 9/11 about 20 minutes before it actually took place, and this is very interesting. I think. Yeah, in regards to your work, this was known as the Solomons, I think, brothers building, and this again connects very much with your work, I think.
Yeah, like I'm having Building 7 connected to Solomon very eerily, reminiscent of the Octagon and the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
And Solomon's Temple and Masonry and Egypt and all these subjects coming together with Building 7. And there's another thing that I brought up on the blog recently about Building 7 and how Tower 7, the word Tower 7, and Mary Magdalene have the same source in Egypt. In Egyptian, it's Magdal Sefek, Tower of 7, is the Great Pyramid. And if you're connecting, Mary to Tower 7, you're bringing Jesus into this, and the alternative theories about Jesus being a Mason himself.
Sure.
The carpenter just being symbolism for Masonry.
For Masonry, yeah.
This very amazing symbolism coming out, and again, another sculpture right in front of this building was the Red Flower by Jeff Koons, and if we think of that as a rose, perhaps the red rose of the Rosicrucians, or the rose line, the bloodlines of Jesus, then perhaps we are seeing the footprint of the perpetrators here, or at least what they're trying to symbolize, part of it.
Absolutely, and again, returning to the BBC footage, I think that this also further kind of strengthens, I guess, your take on this event in regards to the people who actually carried out this, because this is after all, this is a deliberate destruction of that tower. Officially, no plane hit that building, and it was brought down. It was said so by Larry Silverstein, but they knew beforehand that 3 buildings are going to go down that day. So again, this is kind of an affirmation, I think, of your work, basically.
Right. I think that because the more forensic work is not the way I look at the World Trade Center disaster. Just the symbolism alone is damning evidence of some kind of, if not orchestrated, definitely manipulated heavily, but quite possibly,
Absolutely. One thing that I wanted to get to also today was your excellent video. You had when you visit the Manitoba Legislative Building, and this is a kind of fascinating story. Tell us about it, and how did you discover this?
Well, when I moved into Winnipeg, I immediately noticed that they have this really strange occult building in the center of town, in the Manitoba Legislature, and it has a giant 13-foot statue on top, which the people of the town, they call him Golden Boy. And if you look at it, you realize it's Hermes and Prometheus. He's the torchbearer. And a closer look at the building, you see it's got sphinxes, and it's got the 8-pointed star right at the underneath and like a round spherical chamber right underneath the giant 13-foot statue of Hermes, which is, originally Thoth. And a local university professor has done an entire book about the building and its Masonic symbolism. And it just goes to show, again, how the secret society networks, their imagery is everywhere. I mean, it's on our currency. The Queen's head is on so many coins of so many countries, and it's all, all the secret society influence everywhere in the government. And then, this building again has the 8-pointed star right underneath the statue of Thoth. Yeah. And it just seems like there's definitely something going on here, right?
And it is, again, I guess, what do you call it? Replication of Solomon's temple, basically.
That's right. Yeah, its interior is specifically designed, and this is admitted. Like this university professor who wrote this book, I think it's Frank Albo. He actually got the help of Freemasons. They helped him, and this is not controversial stuff. No. It's facts, and I mean, seeing some sort of conspiracy into that's interpretation, Yeah. There's no doubt that, the government is holding legislature in Manitoba, near the geographical center of the North American continent, inside a representation of Solomon's temple. It just does your head in if you look at it from a certain perspective.
Indeed, yeah. And we talked about this a little bit before we came on the show here today, and this is regarding the fact that not bringing into the viewpoint here that this is negative in that sense, because we were talking about this in regards to how we actually interpret these symbols that are around us, and the fact we were speaking about the fact that many Freemasons themselves actually have to go into the archives of their lodges and so forth in order to actually bring out the accurate historical history of their own order. So kind of what we speculated on, I guess, was a little bit that through the work like you do and many others, of course also, we actually might be rediscovering some of the symbolism and highlighting to them actually what some of these symbols might mean, right?
Well, it does seem to be the case. Like if we look at, I'm reading the Hierarchy at the moment. Mm-hmm. It's written by Freemasons, and if I compare like this Freemasonic book with like Ralph Ellis's work, it just seems to me like he's not a Mason. Mm. He seems to have a much clearer interpretation of what was happening in ancient Egypt when it comes to the Hyksos kings being the Israelite nation. Mm. And it's like in the Hierarchy, this connection is not made, even though all these events are running concurrently. They can't seem to make the leap between the Hyksos nation being the Israelites themselves. And it does seem to be that if we're not uncovering what the Masons have forgotten, we are at least uncovering what the lower degree Masons do not know.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is what makes this so fascinating and so interesting, that we are able to actually through the help of symbolism itself and getting kind of into the mindset of this, are able to bring both new meanings, but also, I guess, rediscovering the meanings of these ancient secret societies and civilizations, so forth, and what they actually meant. Because I mean, in regards to buildings and so forth surrounding us, I don't think that there's anything negative in that sense, that there actually is there is a symbolic meaning to something around us. I think that is very spiritually uplifting for me. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I do believe that Masonry and secret societies have done wonderful things, and they have beautiful artwork, and extremely intelligent people are